In the car park and under the stands of a football field in Idlib city, northwestern Syria, families with nowhere to go after fleeing war live in tents. Since December, Russia-backed regime forces have been waging a deadly offensive to retake the last major opposition battle in northwestern Syria. They have pulled back dozens of towns and villages from the extremists and allied Turkey-backed opposition, sparking one of the worst humanitarian disasters of the almost 9-year-old war. A summit between the Turkish and Russian leaders may be the last chance to work out a deal that avoids further calamity in Syria's northwest. Faced with mounting losses for his troops in Syria's Idlib province and a potential wave of refugees fleeing the fighting, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is eager for a ceasefire and Vladimir Putin is ready to bargain. With the looming new migration crisis at Europe's borders, all eyes will be on Moscow, where the two main power brokers in Syria will see if they can hammer out yet another deal, carving up northern Syria tailored to their own agendas. European Union countries offered more money to Greece for border policing and for humanitarian aid to Syria's Idlib in an effort to avert a mass influx of migrants, but were at odds over what to do about Turkey. EU interior ministers meet in Brussels on Wednesday for emergency talks, to be followed by foreign ministers on Thursday and Friday as some 25,000 refugees and migrants gather on the Greek border seeking to cross into Europe. That came after Turkey, citing the latest fighting in Syria, backed away from a 2016 deal with the EU to keep refugees and migrants away from Europe. The mother of a U.S. Navy veteran imprisoned in Iran is calling on the Tehran government to release her son immediately, saying she is concerned for his well-being because of the coronavirus that's been blamed for dozens of deaths in Iran. She also wants the Trump administration to step up its pressure. Her son, Michael White of Imperial Beach, California, has cancer and has been imprisoned since July 2018 while visiting a girlfriend in Iran. He was convicted of insulting Iran's supreme leader and posting private information online and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Canada's foreign minister said that Iran must give access to the black boxes from a Ukrainian airliner shot down by an Iranian missile in early January. The Kiev-bound Ukraine International Airlines Boeing 737 crashed shortly after taking off from Tehran on January 8th. Tehran admitted several days later it had accidentally shot down the airliner during a confrontation with the United States. Iran had launched missiles at U.S. forces in Iraq in response to the killing of top General Qasem Soleimani on January 3rd. A fistfight erupted in the Turkish parliament during a speech by an opposition lawmaker who earlier accused President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of disrespecting Turkish soldiers who died in Syria. Dozens of parliamentarians joined the poll, some climbing desks or throwing punches, while others tried to stop the fighting, according to video footage of the incident. Engin Özgürc, a lawmaker from the opposition Republican People's Party, CHP, had accused the president at a news conference and later in tweets of disrespecting soldiers who were killed last week in Syria's Idlib region. Palestinians have launched protests in the occupied after Israeli bulldozers began clearing land in what villagers fear is an attempt to confiscate it for future Jewish settlements. Scuffles intensified this week as Israeli voters voted in an election, with Palestinians saying settlers had been emboldened by U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East plan and Israeli election rhetoric about annexing settlements. Villagers from nearby Qusra challenged troops guarding Israeli bulldozers as they walked in a field close to Migdalim settlement in the northern West Bank. Saudi Justice Minister Walid al-Slimani has launched Najis Judicial Service Center in Riyadh, facilitating the delivery of about 100 services under one roof following flexible working hours. Provided by legal specialists, the services include editing and referring statements of claims, court petitions, property conveyance, corporate charter notarization, and enforcement applications. In addition, the center has a self-service section with guidance and advice provided to clients free of charge. Escalating military action by Russia and Turkey in Idlib risks direct confrontation between the two major foreign powers in Syria's war, days ahead of a summit of their leaders to hammer out a deal to halt the fighting. Both countries say they hope to avoid a head-on clash, but after Turkey ramped up attacks on Russian-backed Syrian regime forces and Russian military police helped secure a town seized from Turkey-backed opposition factions, all sides acknowledged the risk. Turkey says it has shot down 3 regime planes and destroyed 8 helicopters and scores of tanks since last Thursday, when 34 Turkish soldiers were killed in an airstrike, the deadliest attack on the Turkish army in nearly 30 years. Moroccan Minister of Health Khaled Ait Talib said 104 passengers who were on the same plane with the Moroccan who tested positive for coronavirus are being closely watched over by services of the Health Ministry. Speaking in a press conference on Tuesday, Khaled stressed that the family of the Moroccan citizen whose infection with the disease has been confirmed, as well as the 104 other passengers, are placed in isolation. The patient, a 39 coming from Morocco, entered Morocco by the end of February, coming from Italy. However, he is in stable condition according to the minister. The Libyan National Army, commanded by Khalifa Haftar, escalated its attacks against Turkish military targets in the capital Tripoli, announcing the killing of dozens of Syrian mercenaries who are loyal to Ankara. The LNA also downed a Turkish drone and destroyed Turkish air defenses at the Mitiga air base. The drone was shot down by LNA defenses in the Kaila region, saying the aircraft had tried to attack military positions and units. The Riyadh statement issued at the conclusion of the second Riyadh International Humanitarian Forum stressed the importance of establishing effective communication channels among organizations, bodies, and societies involved in humanitarian work to reach beneficiaries. The statement included 4 main recommendations. The first was to enhance linking both humanitarian and development work through the full implementation of the commitments of the United Nations General Assembly Resolution on the restoration of the UN development system. It also called for bolstering humanitarian and development cooperation to achieve greater coherence and efficiency in humanitarian work during crisis. The Saudi-led Arab coalition announced Wednesday that it had foiled a terrorist attack against an oil tanker in the Arabian Sea off the coast of Yemen. Coalition spokesman Colonel Turki Maliki said the incident took place some 90 nautical miles southeast of Yemen's Nishud port, while the tanker was sailing towards the Gulf of Aden. 4 explosives-laden vessels then approached the tanker in an attempt to attack it. The U.S. Department of Defense announced approval to sell new KC-46 Pegasus aerial refueling aircraft to Israel. The country would buy up to 8 of the Boeing-built aircraft and related equipment for an estimated $2.4 billion. The Pentagon's Defense Security Cooperation Agency said later the State Department approved the proposal deal, of which Congress had been notified. The multi-role aircraft makes made refueling possible for fighter jets and other aircraft, but can also be used for military transport. The U.S. conducted its first airstrike against Taliban forces in Afghanistan since signing an ambitious peace deal with the militant group. U.S. military spokesman Colonel Sonia Leggett said in a tweet that the defensive strike was the first U.S. attack against the militants in 11 days. He said the attack was to counter a Taliban assault on Afghan government forces in Nahar-e-Sarraj in the southern Helmand province. Leggett added that Taliban forces had reported the attacks on Afghan troops on Tuesday in Helmand. According to a spokesman for the province's governor, Omar Zawak, at least 2 police officers were killed and 1 other wounded in the Bashir district of southern Helmand.